everybody, Patty Ann here. Hang on just a second. Hey, if you have your coffee or a drink, I hope you'll take a sip, sit back in your chair and get ready for a fun project. This one's going to be done with my Cricut machine. I've got my Cricut Explorer Air 2 here. You could also use your maker, but I don't have a maker. I have the Explorer Air 2 and it works for everything that I like it to do. So let's have a sip and get started. Okay. So what we're going to make today is this little thing right here. It's a key fob, and it's really, really pretty, and the lighting's not doing it justice, but it's made of glitter, two kinds of glitter stuff, and there's even glitter on the inside. Well, actually, there's three kinds. So what am I using? Let's look down here, and I'll show you. Okay, so for this project, I am using, first of all, I got this big old hunk of leather or pleather, fake leather, on Amazon. I can link that for you down below because I've made plenty of earrings using this. But I'm also going to make my 5-year-old twin grandkids these little key fobs. And usually if you're making these for an adult, you'd like your strip to be like 11 inches long and 1 inch wide. For these ones for the kids, I'm just making them 8 inches wide. And why did I choose 8? Because that's what size these things are. There, look, if you look right here, you can see 0 to 8, 8 inches wide. And then I'm going to make it 1 inch this way. Okay, 8 by 1. So what I've used, again, as I said, is a piece of this pleather, but I chose out the ones that were shiny like this. Glittery like that, right? Because I wanted it to be really glittery. And then for Levi's, I also chose this glitter iron-on for his name. For Layla's, oh, and by the way, looky right here. These are all the tests I've gone through for you guys. So I could tell you exactly what settings to use or what settings I used with my Explorer Air 2. You'll have to do a few tests yourself to make sure what works for you. But this worked really well, and I'll tell you the settings when we get to that part. But you can see that's on there quite well. So the first thing that I did was I just got, let's say, a piece of this. We'll pretend I'm using this. And I just turned it over on the back and got out my ruler, which I don't really have the one handy that I use, but this will suffice. All I did was I measured down here 1 inch. You don't even need your Cricut machine for this. You're just going to need it to do the name. And keep going nice and straight, 1 inch. Okay, so I can either use a rotary cutter or my scissors to cut this piece out. Matter of fact, let's see, should I do that? Sure. All right, where did I leave my scissors though? Oh, here they are. Okay, so I'll just cut this piece out. It's 1 inch. I'm going to cut it a little bit bigger than I think, because then I'll use my rotary cutter to make sure I have a really nice cut. So there's that piece, and that will be probably the inside of the wristlet for Layla. And for her outside, let's see. I need to use this iron-on pink here. Okay, so now I have the iron-on from Cricut, and I'll cut off 1 inch worth of this. Okay. So again, I'll get out my ruler, and I'll just mark 1 inch on this iron-on, and make a mark. And another mark. Okay, and I can see where to cut that then. Again, I'm just using my scissors. Could use my rotary cutter. I could even cut this with my Cricut, but you know what? I feel like it's pretty easy just to do it like this. Oops. Except I'm getting crooked. Okay. All right, so this piece measured 8 inches. Okay, so I need to make this one be 8 inches. And just cut it off at 8 inches there. All right, so my easy press is now ready. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these two pieces. Now, what I'll want to do is to go ahead and put this on here like this. Okay, and then put it inside of the Teflon sheet. And it's barely going to fit. I think it just barely will. So I think if I fold this over like this, I can bring my Teflon sheet up. And now I can tell you that I have my Easy Press set at 315 degrees, and I'm doing it for 20 seconds. I'm giving it a light pressure, not like pushing way hard down, but just having the weight of my arms on there, kind of pushing down. Okay, that's stopped. So now I'm going to let this cool just a little bit before I mess with it. Could take it off of here and put it somewhere where it's a little cooler. Okay. And actually, sometimes it helps if you put it, well, you can't see what I'm doing, but I'm putting it on my cool area of my desk to let it get a little cooler before I peel this off. Okay. There you go. Perfect. Just like that. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do is I am going to go ahead and I could actually turn this on this side and get my rotary cutter and show you. So here's my rotary cutter. Okay. Oops, there's a shine if I do that way. I'll move you over. There we go. So I'm going to trim this up nicely. Okay, like this. Get rid of that piece. Come over here. So I'm making sure now that the 1-inch mark is along this side. I'll just trim this up. And then remember, it's supposed to be about 8 inches long. So I could see, and I can trim this a little bit if I would like. Again, just lining this up so it's nice and straight. And of course, if you don't have a rotary cutter, you can use the cutter that they have from Cricut. I think Cricut has a rotary cutter though too, don't they? I haven't gotten it yet. I got this at Joann's or somewhere. Okay, so that is ready now, except for it's time to put the lettering on here. So what I'm going to be doing eventually is switching this like this, and that's when I'll put the clasp right here, and you see how it's going to be pretty on the inside and on the outside. And of course I can put it either way if I'd like it like that, but I think Layla would probably like it like that. So let's go up to Cricut Design Space and I'll show you how to get the lettering ready. Okay, if you look up at my screen, you'll see what we're working for. Here's the piece of the leather and pleather or glitter. Here's her name. I have a line here for a purpose, and I have this little box for another purpose. But let's start out by making this rectangle by coming over here on the left hand side, coming to the shape tool, clicking on that, and then I just got this square right here. Clicked on that and it opened up a square. Then what I did, and I probably could have gotten the rectangle instead, but I just unlocked the lock and I made it so it was 1 inch high. So I'll make that a 1, and I can hit enter if I want to, and there's that. And my leather for my grandchildren, or for little children that you might be doing this for, is going to be 8 inches, because that's how big this leather is, and that's how I chose 8 inches. If you're making it for an adult, 11 inches would probably be a better size. But I'm just going to turn this to an 8 and hit enter. So that's how big the whole strip is from side to side, as you saw before, and I'll put a little picture up again. So what I did next was I came up here again to the shape tool, and I got this little line right here. Click on that, puts this line in here. And the reason why I wanted this line is so I know where this strip is going to fold in half, and I'll know how much space I have for the names. And then I'm going to draw a box, a selection box around both of those things so they're both selected. And you can see that over here in the layers panel that 2 things are selected. I'm going to come up to the alignment tool up here at the very top, Click on that so it can come down, and then I'm going to say align center. So that's going to put that vertical line, that dotted line, right smack dab in the center of my box that's representing my leather. Perfect. So now I know that's where the fold's going to be. So this is going to fold over like this, and the clip will be over here. So the next thing I knew then was how much space I had for Layla's name, but I know that my clip takes up some space. So what I did for that was I decided to leave a 1/2 inch for that. So how did I get this box? Well, just come over again to the Shapes tool, get a box, unlock the lock up here so that you can change it. And I want that thing to be a 1/2 inch wide. So I'm going to put 0.5 because that's a 1/2 inch. I don't really care how tall it is as long as it's taller than my leather strip here. So I could put this over here, and as a matter of fact, I could change its color by coming up here if I want to. Change it to a different color so it's easier to see. And I'm going to place it right there on the edge. Okay, and I can eyeball that, but if I really want to make sure it's on the edge, I could click this thing, this leather strip, hold down my Shift key, and click this bar. So notice over on the Layers panel, we have the cut for the leather strip, and we also have that purpley periwinkle color. And now I could come up here to the Align tool and say Align, excuse me, right, and that would make sure they're exactly aligned. But you know, you can just eyeball it for this. So then I just came over here to the Text tool, and I typed in Layla, and I decided I wanted to be all caps. I just like that better for this purpose. And it came in with the font that I already used. You could change to any font you want to by coming up here. I think I got this one called Chunk 5 from dafont.com for free. So I'll just click on that because that's what I had used. However, if you'll notice, look how close those letters are together. And I wanted to space them a little bit further apart. So I came up here where it says letter space, and I increased it. And see what that's doing? It's moving them apart a little bit. Because I think before, yeah, the L and the Y were actually touching here, and I really don't want that. So I did space them apart a little bit like that. And I could change them to a different color so I could see more easily when I bring them down here. So let's change it to, you know, that kind of periwinkle color. That would be nice. Let's drag this thing down here and see, is it going to fit? Well, heavens no, it's not going to fit, right? So what I did first was I just used this double-headed arrow and made it a little bit smaller, and saw that it still wasn't going to fit. Well, I didn't want to keep making it smaller and smaller like that, because I thought it made the letters a little small. So I'm going to undo that by coming up here to the undo button. And there it is. And what I did was I unlocked this lock, which allows me to change how big it is like this. See, I can make it really big like that, or really tiny like that. But what I'm going to do is place this over top of here again and see what size I would like it to be that I think it would fit nicely and be thick enough to see. Okay, I'm thinking that looks perfect to me. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to cut out the name Layla. However, remember, I'm cutting it out of, it looks like my one up there is a little thicker. Let's make this a little tiny bit thicker, like that. Okay, let's see. And again, if I wanted to make sure that was centered perfectly, I could click on this item, hold down my Shift key and click on her name. Two things are selected, and I could come up here and arrange or align. Center horizontal, whoops, no, center vertically. Let me say undo. So I'll click this again and hold down my Shift, click this, align, center vertically. And that made sure it was centered perfectly in that strip of leather, but it doesn't really matter because we're not cutting it out of that leather. We're just going to cut her name twice. So now I can actually get rid of all these other things that I no longer need. This and this, this. I don't need any of this stuff anymore. And matter of fact, I'll just draw a big box on this and delete on my keyboard. So now I have her name once, and I'll put it up here. And what color did I say I was going to make that? Black? I think I said black. So what I'll do is I'm going to right click on this and say duplicate, and then I can move this one over here. Now, since we're using HTV, you got to remember that you have to flip it horizontally or mirror it. And I always like to mirror mine here on the mat. You can either do it here, or Cricut Design Space will warn you later that you better mirror it if you're using HTV. So to mirror it here, all I do is right click. Nope. I've got to come up here and say flip horizontally. And now you'll notice it's mirrored images of each other. So now I can go to make it, and they're both going to fit here together, but I want to smush them apart a little bit. So I'll know that I'll need a strip of the black vinyl that's about 8 inches long or wide by about 1.5 inches, just to make sure we have enough. We could even do 8.5 by 1.5 inches. So I'm going to cut that right now here on my mat. Okay, hopefully you won't judge me because my mat is dirty. But anyway, here is the vinyl, and I'm hanging over the back of it to try to show you. Here's the vinyl. You're going to make sure that it is shiny side down when you cut it, because you want the actual vinyl to be cut. This up here is known as the carrier sheet. You don't want this backing or this carrier sheet to be cut. You want the vinyl to actually be cut. So I'm going to go ahead and place this on here. And usually I would squeegee it down, but I'm being careful because it's on the tray of my machine right there. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and put this in here. And go ahead. Move that out of the way. All right, now let's see if I can show you next what I'm doing. So on my machine, and you probably don't do this, but on mine, I always have it on custom so I don't forget to change the setting. So let's go back up to Cricut Design Space, and I'll show you what I'm going to put my settings on. Okay, for my settings, I'm just going to go up here to Cricut Design Space, and I'm going to say continue. And it's connecting to my machine, and it knows I have the Air 2, and it goes to the base material, and I select glitter iron on. It worked perfectly, just like this. Select glitter iron on, and it says make sure the mirror is turned on because it's heat transfer vinyl. But remember, we already mirrored ours, so we don't need to worry about that. But if you prefer, you can mirror it right now. Okay, the tools are loaded. I'm just using my fine point blade. It worked perfectly, and it says to hit go, so I'm just going to hit go and let it begin cutting. Okay, it's finished cutting. You can barely see the name in there, and I'm going to hit this arrow that's flashing because that's going to unload my mat. And then once my mat is unloaded, I'm just going to go ahead and bring it out and begin weeding. I can leave it on the mat if I want to weed, and just start pulling this off gently. There, you can see how well it's working. Don't even need weeding tools yet. There's one time. Better start my heat press again. And here goes the second time. Perfect. That's trash. So I will need my weeding tool for just a moment to get the inside parts out of the A. I can see well enough. Where is it? Oh my, oh, there it is. Now there's a little bit here to get out, and then a little bit right here to get out. Perfect. Looks like the Y might need a little something else done for it. There. And here's the A again. Oops, you can't see. Okay. Oops, this right here. Nope, not right there. Where is it? There it is. Alright, let's turn it around this way so I can see it. Looks perfect. So now I can take this part off of the mat. And what I'll probably do now is bring this back over and cut this in half so I can do one part at a time. Okay, and bring this thing back in. Now remember, we're going to put this like this, and we're going to leave some space here. Okay, so I can do that. And I actually could do both parts at one time, because I think it'll all fit. I'm a little worried about doing this. I hadn't done both together at the same time before. Maybe I better wait. I'll do one first and then the other. So I'm going to do this one here. And my heat press just made a noise letting me know it was ready. So I'll bring this and put it inside of this Teflon sheet and heat press up again for 20 seconds. You can't see that. Let's see. There we go. Okay, there's one half done. Put this down on the stand. Open this back up. Okay, and wait for this to cool for just a sec. Okay, I can take this off. Perfect. And now I'll put the other one on. Let's see. So like on Levi's, I do it like this, and like this. So there's that. So now I'll put it like that. Okay. So I'm going to do the other one with I thought I put Alicia for a minute with Layla. Alicia is my daughter's name. Okay, looks good. Let's make sure we're not going over the 4-inch mark. There's that middle mark, remember? So that looks perfect. Now I can put it back in here and bring up my heat press, my easy press, and do it again for 20 seconds. Again, just a medium pressure. And about a couple more seconds. Here we go. And I'll let that cool off for just a second. And then this is just about totally done, other than we have to put the hardware on. So, while this is cooling for a moment, I'll get out the hardware. Remember, you get the pliers in this set, and you also get a bunch of different rings. Some have different colors. I think I'll use black again. There's black and like a coppery color and silver, and I think I'll use the black again. This is really easy to use. So all you do is kind of fold this in half, matching up the edges nicely. And open this up. Remember, it's got the rubber tips here to help keep the metal from getting messed up. And it's really easy. It kind of just sits right in there very easily. You just make sure that it's lined up like that. Then I just bring this in all the way back, align it up, and press. And get it off. There it is. So there's Layla's with a nice silver color inside. Layla. And Levi's. So didn't those turn out cute? And they're super easy to make. I think you could make a lot of these that have different things. I'm thinking like brides, or the bridal party. They might like something, remembrance like this. A new baby. Maybe the parent might want the baby's name on here and some information. I don't know. I'm just having a hard time right now thinking outside the box, but you get the idea. And isn't that beautiful? Cricut vinyl and some pleather, and I'll have all the stuff linked down below for you. So thanks so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and that you'll try them out. And if you do, I hope you'll join our Facebook group and show what you've made. So thanks again, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.